the apostles and elders, great Muslims of the world. Shalom to those who elect. Right, so the Hebrew Israelites once again prophesied the downfall of this kingdom according to the prophecies written inside of the Bible. Alright, as spoken of in the words, we're basically heading into the time of Jacob. Right? This is why you have, since the turn of 2020, the month of March, what you've basically had is, the onset of the pandemic, right? The new normal, great reset, vaccinations, all these different things happening, right? Even it started as well with the assassination of Soleimani. All these different things that are happening, or have happened since 2020, right? It's basically snowballing into the time of Jacob's trouble, our temptation, right? So these are all things that are written inside the Bible. Scriptures that come to mind, Luke 21, Mark 13, Matthew 24, all the prophecies dealing with the end, right? Whether the apostles or the disciples at the time asked the Lord, like, what are going to be the signs that are coming? And he basically outlined it. And many of those things that are mentioned are basically happening now, and more are to come, right? Go scripture.
1 Thessalonians 5:1. But of the times and seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night.
Yeah, so the day of the Lord is going to come as a thief in the night. Right, so what does that mean? A thief in the night. Usually, a thief operates under the purpose of guile, right? Deception. So this thief that's coming in, the way the Lord's going to make it return, when no one, sorry, again, deception, but the thief comes when no one expects the thief to come, right? So you could be asleep at night, 3 in the morning, 4 at night, then the thief just comes up, opens the window, takes something from the house, and Yahweh Shai is basically going to be sent at a time when no one's looking for him to make his arrival on the earth. Right?
For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with a child.
Yeah, so basically it says when they shall say peace and safety, who's they? Right? The powers that be. Because right now what you got going on is an agenda being established whereby everything points to safety and security in this beast system, alright? This devil, man, this great deceiver, basically, he is the one that's establishing,
For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them.
Yeah, when they say peace and safety, so what's the peace and safety? All the things like, ultimately it's going to be take this mark and you're not going to have to worry about nothing. That's the ultimate way of peace and safety, right? Because what does it tell you in the book of Revelation, 13th chapter? It says, if you can't buy or sell, basically, if you don't have the mark, right? That's the main whole deal. And that's what's going to be peace and safety. People are going to take that, just how you got with the vaccination, the certain dying, and the media's not covering it. You're going to have the same thing happening with the mark. People are going to be getting poisoned, different things going to be happening. It's going to be an outbreak of this type of thing. But guess what? They're going to turn around and say, they're going to hide the masses of people. But, so it looks like peace and safety. We made our way out, we got into the metaverse, we got digital currency, blah, 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 blah. But really, that's when the Lord is he's preparing a way to make his arrival. Right? Read up.
Then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child.
Yeah, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as a woman travailing for a child. Alright, so a woman that's pregnant. Alright, when the water breaks, that's a good idea of the baby's making ready to be born, basically. But the water don't just say, I'm breaking 10 minutes even if you did get a beep on the phone, it's like, that isn't enough time to prepare. Really, the water breaking is like, and even that within itself, you're on the walk. You're on the, what's the word I'm looking for? It could have been. It's hit or miss basically, because you have someone that water break, but then guess what? It's just like it close, but it was really nothing. You know, they go to the doctor and say, now it's not the time to chill. Maybe a couple days from now, weeks from now, maybe bring the water. But it's saying that basically what it means is it's gonna happen suddenly, the time when no one looks.
And they shall not escape. But ye brethren are not in darkness, that their day should overtake you as a thief.
Yeah, so it says, we brethren, after the word, we're not in darkness that the day will take us as a thief. Right? Because we're more than aware of the future signs that the Heavenly Father through His Son outlined to us. Right?
Ye are all children of light and the children of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep as the others, but let us watch and be sober.
Yeah, so let's not sleep. Give diligence to make that calling and election sure. So we're not in the dark, right? We're in the light. Yahweh Shai actually can grab Matthew 5. Go to that. Unless you do something else. On the lamp, 5 and 12.
Matthew 5.
Yeah.
What did you want?
12. The light. You overtake. Capital in the hand.
Matthew 5 and 14. Ye are the light of the world, a city
That's what I'm saying.
Ye are the salt, verse 13. Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost its savour, wherewith shall it be salted?
Yeah, so basically, that's what I'm asking.
It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under foot of men.
Yep.
Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid.
Yeah, Yerah Shalom, we're that city. Alright, we can't be hidden. No matter what nation we go into, as the prophecy of Ezekiel that was 16, the Heavenly Father left a little sanctuary amongst the nations, right? But in that little sanctuary is coming out of it's coming out of a city of, a multitude of Jacob. But only a few amount of being taken away. That's why the Lord said, I shall take two from the family and one from the city. Right? To make what? That little sanctuary. Right? But that true Jerusalem, Yerah Shalom, they're being set as the city above them. Right? So these athletes, these different type of people that come out of it that are meant to be great people, out of that you're gonna have the elect, right? Great men of the nation of Israel.
A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house.
Yeah, so the light gets what? Put on a candlestick, and then that candlestick basically gives light to the whole world, or to the house. So basically it's the same with the city of Jerusalem, right? To be set upon a table, meaning we're meant to be exalted. That's why we speak this word, and that's why we utilize the internet, because it's the means to be created, right? So that's the dark, this day not taking us to darkness, right? So very aware of things to come. That's why you had one of the, what they call it, the summits, where they brainstorm. There's the word. No, it's Davos. They had Davos recently. Yeah. So basically they had think tanks. Basically, they had the former Prime Minister, I just see GMS on post video. They had Gordon Brown basically speaking about the main thing that's going to happen with the Great Reset the fourth industrial revolution, and they said it's going to happen very fast. Basically, ain't going to take time. It's gonna happen. That's what's going on with the metaverse, with the digital-based currency. All these things are basically making it as to where the elites dream of a what's the word? Of a new world order can be manifest, basically.
Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works, glorify your Father which is in heaven.
Yeah, so we've been left as an example to the people, right? And first and foremost, to the children of Israel, right? We're being left an example, right? So other men can come into this work, basically get with it as well, and then they start doing the work. What did Yahweh Shai say? So the harvest is plentiful. Look to the fields there, whack. The harvest is plentiful, but the labor is few, right? So that's basically what's going on. The Heavenly Father is basically making us to where that it's time to do the work, basically. Everyone can see it.
First Thessalonians 5:5. Ye are all the children of light and the children of the day. Ye are not of the night nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober. For they that sleep, sleep in the night, and they that be drunken are drunken in the night. Whoa, no, I'm going to read this. Isaiah 29:9. Stay yourselves and wonder, cry ye out and cry. They are drunken but not with wine, they stagger but not with strong drink. For the Lord Yahweh hath poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep, and have closed your eyes. The prophets and your rulers, the seers have you covered. That's the spirit a lot of hella people are in. The whole world, these guys are under that darkness, man. They've had that spirit of sleep poured over them, their eyes have been shut. Because by and large, that's the thing is like the brother mentioned, all the things the brother mentioned, these things are here and plain to see. But the only thing people pay attention to is things that push really into the mainstream through like social media. They're not really looking at things that happen in the background. It's like they might be looking at the whole I don't know, like with a certain tiff that's happening in public, but then meanwhile laws are getting passed. Kanye, yeah, and that shit is hell on earth. But I mean, you know, you chose to deal with and have use of that, like, you know, like Ray J had already fucking done exposed that to him first. Like, bruh, it's just like, come on, man. Everyone on the internet seen that shit. But that's why that's what people are gonna be thinking about. That's what their mind's gonna be occupied with. They're only gonna be thinking about the latest bout in the Coliseum, what's going on in MMA. They're thinking about who Usyk's gonna fight. They wanted to see when the next time Tyson Fury's gonna rumble. They're thinking about what's just kicked off the Winter Olympics in China and all the madness going down there. It's funny as hell because that's how you know those athletes on a no kind of level, man. They just fob them up and say, yeah, just go China, and that man can deal you any which way. Meanwhile, that just is like I ain't watched the opening ceremony. It's meant to have been like I don't know. It's I heard it was like yeah, they were saying like they were symbolizing certain things, you know, China just kind of flexing on the West, kind of a thing. But I need to check it out. It's like with those there's always something in those opening ceremonies. Yeah. But it's like it's China and the US, they're not in the most peaceable of states. So really it's like if you're gonna be sending like athletes over, these guys meant to be valuable assets to America, then there's meant to kind of be a way you're meant to be dealing with it. But they're just kind of over there. They said it's like, I was reading one earlier today. They said the guys that have to quarantine, if they catch that C-19, then they're like living in like it's almost a state of poverty, man. Man said they're getting the same grim food. They ain't like, they're just locked up in the room. They ain't got no training equipment, nothing. Losing weight, and I'm like, they're meant to be competing. So that's, they're fucked. But that's and really, it's a lot of political stuff happening behind the scenes, because Russia's there, and then like Putin was there for the thingy, and China and Russia just like did another gas deal as well. So it's like it's essentially just saying like, yeah, we're doing our thing. Like all that shit you're talking about Ukraine wasn't really me. But that's the thing, is people aren't going to be looking, they're just going to think like all pretty lights and watching like and seeing, the guy's form when he comes down and does a big jump on the slope or whatever. Because why? They're thinking about the bread and circus. And that's why it comes as a thief. They've been dark, they've had their eyes closed, they've been put they're asleep. The alarm's on snooze. Meanwhile, things are happening, and that's why it's like what for the prophets, they're meant to be watchmen, meant to be watching for what's coming, because we're meant to see it coming and be prepared. We're the ones that are meant to be barking and alerting everyone else, which that's what's been done. The apostles have been doing it online, and from when it's gone online, it's gone global. That's something you don't need to be on a particular street corner. You don't need to be in a particular place to see it. You can go online, you can see that all around the world. Meanwhile, what most people in the world, they've definite ears, man. There's guys that have gone so far as to pick up the plow, then they'll just like, they might have enjoyed for a little while, 3 years, 5 years, 6 months, then they might have just dashed it and be like, yeah, what good was it for me? And then just gone back in the world, because they don't see nothing happening. Meanwhile, as soon as things, and that really, from, like the brother mentioned, from March 2020, like that should have already been, from the onset of 2020, really, you should have known it was a completely different spirit from then. And but hey, people are still trying to, they're still trying to live, they're still trying to enjoy that pride of life. It says what? For the Lord Yahweh hath poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep, and have closed your eyes. The prophets and your rulers, the seers hath he covered, and the vision of all is become unto you as the words of a book that is sealed, which men deliver to one that is learned, saying, read this, I pray thee. And he saith, I cannot, for it is sealed. That's pretty how it is. A lot of people even trying to get understanding. This is coming to them like a sealed book. They're unable to understand it. Imagine this as peak as you have breakdowns. You have the apostles going into breakdowns, all sorts of chapters, all sorts of different prophecies throughout the scriptures, so you can get the full understanding. You can get understanding back to front. But then there's people watching it, they can't get it. Because why? The spirit, it's been blocked off from them, man. They've been denied access. And that's how cold this thing is. This is the thing about where you're going to have people that right up until the missiles are there, until the chariots are there, until people are getting beamed up, they're not going to have the understanding. There's a bit more. So 1 Thessalonians 5 and 8 says, but let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and for an helmet the hope of salvation. For the Most High hath not appointed us to wrath, but to attain salvation by our Lord Yahweh Shai and Mashiach. That's really it. It's like we have that breastplate of love, that helmet, the hope of salvation. We're basically putting on the whole armor of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. We're preparing ourselves to the battle. And this isn't a battle in a carnal sense, where we're gonna, like, you saw that clip, well, there's a clip that came out yesterday, you might have seen it, of like the kids on the bus, where one guy had like a fucking samurai sword, the other guy had a knife, and their man were fighting on the on a bus.
This is what you
Yeah. It was like yesterday. Yeah, London. It was like a 3-second clip. A man was holding the sword like this. I was like, the shit looked hilarious. I was like, but that. Nah. Apparently there was, because it was like tried to stab me, parried it, and then they said there was no injury. I don't know. The kids might have injured each other, but it's like they left. They said there's no one on the bus was injured. Because that shit was funny as hell. But that's
That's the spirit that's out there.
yeah. Because people really
love really it shows you what time we're in. Because as things progress, even right now, what people are not aware of, we're dealing with inflation. Right? You got the Bank of England came out. I don't remember it off the top of my dome. They basically spoke about certain figures that when you really understand what's going to happen, the price of bread and everything is going to get crazy.
Fucking holding the sword like this.
So I remember young as fuck too.
It says South London. Yeah, but that's the spirit of the times, man. Everyone now is really out for themselves, and that's the spirit of the beast, man. Where everyone's just basically lovers of their own selves, and that's become like the baseline. Second Timothy 3:1 says, "This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come." And that's the thing as well. These times are going to be perilous. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a cake.
And that's a video on that actually where Doomsday Clock mentioned at the time said a perilous moment. It really is they tried to downplay it by saying it's a moment. It's just a moment. It will be something that's past. But the reality is it's perilous times. When you read the article, basically they spoke of all the reasons why they said like there were certain deals that were struck that would have made it as to where we move away from nuclear annihilation as they call it. But basically what made it maintain the space where it was down to present thing going on with Russia and Ukraine, right? The climate thing as well, that they just said a myriad of things that basically showed that look, we're in perilous times, man, but they just trying to put it down to a moment. But that's not the reality, right?
Read again. 2 Timothy 3:1, it says, "This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters."
Now, the first thing it said, lovers of their own selves. That's why you have like vanity. Well, King Solomon spoke of it in the book of Ecclesiastes about vanity, right? Vanity of vanities, basically speaking on the vanity of life. And this is a man that had everything at his disposal. He had 700 wives, 300 concubines, wealth and abundance, wisdom beyond anyone upon the earth. But in all the things that he said that he sought to do, he just summarized it by saying it's vanity, all right? And he continued to go down the line. Whereas towards the end only, what did he say? He said, serve the Most High, man. That's what it's about. So now, in saying that, the reason why I said all that is because it's a men shall be lovers of their own self. It's a generation that we're in, people are so vain, right? They feed into vanity, like tangible goods, watches, cars, holidays, making memories, as they say. But the reality of the situation is that's humanity, man. Because the Heavenly Father, as it says in Ecclesiastes 11 chapter, it speaks about the young man rejoicing in his youth. It says, do all the heart's desires, but the Most High shall put thee into account for all these things. And guess what? One of the main things this world basically personifies to its zenith, youthfulness. Alright? You got people that are basically like 50 years old, and they're still trying to be a kid basically. They're still chasing their youth. I'm trying to channel my inner child. You're a grown man. You know, you've got grandchildren. You're a grown woman. So that's because they love their own selves. They just think everything is self-serving.
Proverbs 23 and 17. Let not thine heart envy sinners, but be thou in fear of the Lord Yahweh all the day long. Yeah? So you're not meant to be looking at what the sinners are doing and thinking like, these guys are doing all this, I'm looking to join in. Because as far as it's like, that's the thing, a good example is with these celebrities. You might think like, you love the fame of walking around and blah, 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 just going and enjoying life and living life to the fullest, so to speak. Meanwhile, it's you don't know what they've done to get there. You don't know what they need to do to maintain it. All the kind of fucked up shit that's going on in personal lives. These guys are bugging out on a regular, man. These guys are fucking offing themselves on the regular, man.
Hey, you had the former Miss America.
Yeah.
She committed suicide. And I thought
she knew it was over.
The first thing I thought is, she hit that age that, coming of age, 30, and she probably didn't have her life in order the way she'd like it to. She probably, because a lot of the amount of women I've heard, by the age of 24, family, settle down,
and that spirit's completely gone as well.
Yeah. I don't even know if anyone's saying that now. I don't really hear that. That's a throwback.
There was something someone sent me yesterday. Said it was like, I think it was on the Times. They said they interviewed a 37-year-old woman. She said she's been single for like the last, I don't know, like maybe 7-8 years or some shit. And it said like she was just like, I'm fine being single. We need to normalize, being single, going into older age. Then they thrown up a bunch of statistics. And I was like, bro, because the thing is that's just the Pepper Tyler Green. Well, that was a fucking lie. Because ain't no 37-year-old woman alone gonna be happy, man. There's a clip from Fight Club where you have the chick that had cancer, and then she was like, I can barely feel anything anymore. Look, all I really want is to have sex one last time. I have lubricants and pornographic videos. She was trying to, bro. Because, bro, it's the way men and women are made. It's like one, you're naturally gonna desire a woman. A man's gonna naturally desire a woman. A woman's gonna naturally desire a man. Like that's just how we're wired. So all these things are just all confusion, man. And that's really, bro, it's like the whole that whole mindset. That's just wickedness, man.
Let me go yours. Yeah, I got it. Oh.
Job 39 and 13. Gavest thou the goodly wings unto the peacocks, or wings and feathers unto the ostrich, which leaveth her eggs in the earth, and warmeth them in the dust, and forgetteth that the foot may crush them, or that the wild beast may break them. She is ardent against her young ones, as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain without fear. And that's but that's like how with these women, they've had their nature has been hardened as fuck against the children they bear, because they're more or less just looking to not have to deal with that, man. They're looking to completely jump away from that whole aspect of the female nature. So basically, just same thing, self-indulgence, indulging with within your own desires and wants, and just satisfying yourself, which is that's what the whole aspect of the world is basically about, chasing as much pleasure and enjoyment as you can.
Yeah.
And that's why when hardship comes and you can't deal with it, people will just be completely done. There's people, they'll have some of the most lax, easiest lifestyles you can find. Then they'll just fucking off themselves because they're just like, that's a bit too much. Or they might have some form of hardship, something might come, a grandparent might pass, they're just gonna lapse into depression. Because why? And it's also the demons out here, man. These guys, the whole way the world runs, it's nothing but confusion and mess, man. There's no nothing is being dealt with in a healthy or sustainable way. Everything is just like, what, live hard, die young. That's essentially the live fast, die young. Where people are trying to use their body as speedily as possible. Read that. No, they're trying to use their body as speedily as possible. But then it's like what's in it? Like in the long run, how does it work out?
I even saw a clip that basically said she was body 24, body count of like 70 or something like that. Something crazy. And she just said that, do what you want, do whatever you do. But the reality of that situation is you're too young to know. You're not the person to actually speak on that. Because you're talking in the midst of doing it. You ain't talking when
yourself. When you're 50, when you're 60, then you know you might actually have something to say. Because that's the thing. It's like you can look at what the fuck is that bitch called? Thingy's Diana Ross's daughter. Tracy Ellis Ross.
Tracy Ellis Ross.
Yeah, Tracy Ellis Ross. She ain't had a fucking. She might have had a boy toy recently, but it's like she ain't had no man around.
Yeah.
Because she's done, man. She is she's gone all stale. She ain't got no youthful energy. She ain't got nothing positive to bring to a man. Anything that they want other than looks, and that's something that diamond does, man.
You don't know that. Yeah, I forgot you said it. It's like every year there's a birthday.
There's a whole like, around the 21-year-olds being girls turning one, just like fresh as hell, naive, not doe-eyed and all that, just like ready to do absolutely any and everything. Meanwhile, you got some old Harridan, man. One of them birds that you see is there, looking at you, mean mugging you all day long. Wisman Solomon 2 and 6. Now therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use the creatures like as in youth. Let us fill ourselves with costly wine and ointments, and let no flower of spring pass by us. Let us crown. Well, that's really it. This is what. Let us speedily use the creatures as in youth, and that's really, they're just looking to basically maximize as much enjoyment as possible. And that's why it's like whenever you might be thinking of going somewhere, people are going to have plans of like, oh, you need to go and do this, you need to have this experience, you need to go to this place, you need to watch this, you need all the things you need to do, just basically chasing the pleasures. But it's like you might even go somewhere and just be like, let me just pre out what the vibe is, and then you just kind of go there and let me see how it operates. But that's the mindset of someone who's got a bit more going on upstairs. Because as far as people don't really go other places and see like, oh, what's the lifestyle change? How do people do things differently? Like, what, you're not trying to gain anything from it. You're just thinking like, oh, I just want to dead myself to the world for pleasures. And that's a mindset of most people. They're looking to just avoid any thought of any possible danger of any negative thought entering in any way. And the joke is a lot of these people end up fucking depressed on antidepressants where they're zapped out of their minds anyway. That's because why? Because they're not dealing with reality. They're trying to live in they're trying to live in Neverland. Let's crown ourselves with none of us go without his part of our voluptuousness. Let us leave tokens of our joyfulness in every place, for this is our portion and our luck.
And that's how like bloody Instagram, man. They're being talking to my joyfulness and their pictures. People taking them selfies, pictures, broadcasting every moment. And any activity they're
Share the whole fucking world. Like the most funny because there was a field or something where Instagram users kept coming. Like someone started a trend of just taking a picture, like laying down in it, and it just deaded off the whole field. All the flowers in the field got killed because everyone kept coming there and lying on them to take pictures. And if you've never seen someone filming a fucking TikTok or taking pictures for Instagram in real life, that shit looks retarded as fuck. It's like, oh, okay, you know, okay, we're just like, and it's like, whoa! And it's like, are you insane? Like, you're not even, it's not even like you're just out somewhere doing something. You're like, oh, let me just record this moment. It's curating your life for a bunch of fucking strangers who ain't gonna do nothing. Like, if you're making money off it, fine, that's one thing. Even though it's like most people are just trying to live. Yeah, and a lot of them they just want to like live the life of fame. Because that's the funny thing as well. It's like you had like the first generation of that whole famous for being famous thing with the Kardashians reality TV shows, where it was a bunch of nobody losers that just got on TV shows and had no talent, no nothing to offer the world. But then because they're on TV,
show their lifestyle.
yeah, because they're on TV, then okay, they'll people kind of rise with them in a certain way, and they'll start getting their newspapers or whatever.
This is what you've been saying. Just hold that. This even shows you basically like it's really by design. They broadcast on TV for these individuals. Like you had the Hills. Most of them are so-called affluent individuals.
Yeah, money.
That was it.
So
before that, what was it? The Fabulous Life, where they show, this Mariah Carey, you only eat blue M&M's or whatever. And then they show
she has an MTV
crib
in a toilet.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
Basically, like MTV crib. So there was a lot of lifestyle experiences on TV. So then you had reality TV shows. So this is all conditioning. So now it's like, if you have a social media page, you can become one of those reality TV stars that you grew up watching.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. It's like it's a process. Because you had the different generations. Started with like the reality TV, well, like the actual famous people showing their life off. Then
the Diary.
Yeah.
Because I watched the Nas one recently.
Sweet 16 and shit as well.
Yeah.
Because that was like, just most outrageous like birthday presents and shit, cars and parties and like the most dogged parents. Then it was reality TV, and now you got into more modern times where it's like being a YouTuber. You had like people going on YouTube and then they'll just blow up, get like 1 million subs, making money off that. Then you had it spread to just like Instagram, TikTok and whatnot. Well, actually Vine happened before then. Vine was like little comedy skits kind of stuff. But then afterwards you just had like the whole various social media pages just kind of blowing up to where it's like, you post pictures, then it's like you get famous brands start doing deals with you and whatnot. It all built up to where now it's just, you don't need to have a talent. You just post pictures online, or you just look like you're living a certain kind of lifestyle. Then or have a good editor, good Photoshop. You have that a good lifestyle. Look like you have that good lifestyle. Then you can get famous then, and that's what people are chasing. They're drunk on the fame, which that'll bug you out. And you can see, and that's the thing. It's like it's mostly children as well. It's like people that are young as fuck, young, dumb. But that's young and stupid. They don't know what the fuck's going on. They're chasing these things, glorifying it, not knowing what comes of it. It says, I was going to read this as well. Psalms 49:11. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. Yeah, that's the other thing. These guys think they're going to last forever. Going around the whole world, name everything, reclassify it all how they desire. And Esau thinks that's going to last forever. But that's the thing, that's the vanity of this it's really with the elites. They deal with that. By and large, a lot of people that are in the mindset, they're trying to emulate it. They don't look at these things. They don't think about these things. That's why they say most wealth gets built in one generation. It's gone by 2 generations later. By the grandchildren, it's done out. And that's like how you raise your kids, how you build up your household, set these things up for yourself so it lasts. No one's got that mindset. Everyone's just thinking, yo, just blast out as much enjoyment and pleasure as possible, as quickly as possible. Back in Wisdom of Solomon, well, you have to. I'm going to read it out. Back in Wisdom of Solomon, 2 and 9, it says, "Let none of us go without his part of our voluptuousness. Let us leave tokens of our joyfulness in every place, for this is our portion."
That's even when you get a statue as well, these memorials, these different things. They're basically all like a throwback to the time where they enjoy themselves on the earth. That's what it is. Those are the tokens. They were very high side and remember.
So it says, "Let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the aged."
And that's the other thing. Because now you have the younger generation that basically saying, fuck with that, old heads, I don't want to hear them. You're not growing up in the same generation. And then even you have some old fools that basically agree and say, yeah man, let the young people have their fun. But the reality of the situation is,
The whole point of having generations, and you're meant to build them up.
and this is the point of it. Young man is known for their strength, and the older man is known for their wisdom. That's why it says one of the hoary heads, because where you find wisdom basically, because they've experienced life. They're basically tested, right? Try to test. That's why we reverence. That's why we give double honors unto the apostles, because of the elders, because they're worthy of double honors, right? Because they've been through it, they've seen and done it. And then you have individuals like Sakari, right, a flavor of the week, basically coming against the apostles that don't know nothing, right? He goes on so many things, right? And all the people that, all the men that are under his
There will be another strike. Blind leading the blind. But that's why order exists. And it says, it's on earth. Everything runs in order. That's how it's going to be in earth for the kingdom itself. That's the thing. It's not just going to be, it's just going to be able to go around. Basically, Wisdom of Solomon 2 and 11. "Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth." And that's something you could know Esau lives by. They're cool, basically establishing righteousness by whatever the most powerful thing is. If he's able to go and blast someone to high heaven, then he's just going to be like, well, he's making himself the hero in that situation, man. They're reporting that they said I don't even know if the name is still tagged, but that group named after the ancient Egyptian goddess. They said they got the leader in was it Iran? Nah, probably Iraq or Syria. They said they fucking blew this guy to hell, and then they said there was like, I think maybe 6 kids, 5 women, or some shit that got killed as well in the whole situation. And they're saying, oh, he blew himself up. Drone strike that guy from the sky. Because that round, look what they put Suleimani, man. People were smoking a cigar. And fucking drone struck that guy into pieces. It says what? Therefore, and there's no humility in that as well. It's like Esau's basically trying to maintain. He's trying to avoid any form of humility that exists. He's completely caught up in his own pride. He really thinks he's justified in everything he does. But that's the thing he's a complete opposite. This guy's trying to run, basically trying to inherit a role he has no business fulfilling. He doesn't have the means to do it. This guy's been running the earth. What's the earth game? It's degrading. People are all bugged out. This guy, they call it the information age. I'm like, bro, people are frying their brains on social media, on video games, on terrible diets. People don't even fucking hate. A lot of people's jobs, they'll be sitting down for like 40-some plus hours a week, just completely decaying parts of their legs, man. Blood vessels getting all kind of fucked up.
Posture being compromised.
Yeah, these things, like, it's not sustainable. All these things, and this is the thing, is for those at the top, it's quick, hard money. But for everything else, it's basically going to wear out until it ceases to be able to sustain itself. It says, therefore let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn, and he is clean contrary to our doings. And that's really it. The way Esau does everything is he's completely contrary to righteousness, which is why everything is based on just quick, wasteful, destructive methods. I can't remember what it was. I was looking at it. I was thinking, I was like, bruv, like, you're gonna make some. I'm like, bruv, even if you order any form of takeaway from somewhere, the amount of fucking waste you're gonna have just in like the packaging, how it's given to you, all these different things. So you're gonna have a bunch of biodegradable resources being made. You're gonna have a bunch of things wasted. Even I was thinking of work. It's like some products, you get the product, then it's like you might have like 1,000 pieces in a box. Then out of that box you might have fucking up to 100 that aren't even usable, just out of the box before you even have a chance to do anything. You have to think like, what the fuck is going on here, man? How is there going to be this much waste before you even get to even utilize it? But that's how Esau does everything. It's like even like fuel efficiency. That's something that's been a complete mess. And never mind how it's fucking up the environment as well. Everything's all a complete mess, man. He upbraideth us with our offending the law and objective to our infamy, the transgressions of our education. He professeth to have the knowledge of the Most High. He calleth himself the child of the Lord. He was made to reprove our faults. He is grievous unto us to behold, for his life is not is not like other men's. His ways are of another fashion. And that's really it. Because the fashion of this world, it passes away. This right now, as far as for everyone's in that same fashion, man. They're all looking at things like how Esau does it. That's what everyone's aspiring to. Everything revolves around him, all around the globe. Because even if you're going to go, if you go back to certain parts of Africa, certain Eastern nations, where they do things more old school, like the Middle East as well, they're going to say, oh, they're backwards. Oh, these guys, they're not progressing enough. They're doing, they'll say, oh, these guys are living in the past. Meanwhile, okay, so living in the future in Esau's world, this shit ain't sustainable. Like, bro, the birth rates have been dropping non-stop since they said like it's at the lowest level since records began in 1938 in the UK, I believe. Like birth rate. This was on that thing about the 37-year-old woman that's fine, being single. They said birth rates have been at the lowest since records began.
Well, it's interesting because I saw T.K. Kirkland on the Breakfast Club, and he's basically talking about things that are acceptable. He's 61 years old, so he's basically saying that misogynistic ideals. He said a man could pat a woman on the butt, basically, kind of like, and I can get that because man, school. I remember pinching a bum was like fucking grips with a girl was like that was like competition. Rite of passage basically. Did you grab a bum? Did you grab a titty? You know, like that was just a well-known thing. They even say like, oh, governor tried to do about Como, speaking about Como, he said like, oh, like he should be allowed to do that. It should be like, because he basically broke it down and said like, well, isn't the women should know that you're trying to, that's the governor. You should be trying to have him in your pocket.
Position of
like, yeah,
of prominence. There's certain things that can't. And that's the thing, it's really
so
trying
rather
to...
than some fuck where they used to give him some box to because he looks good or whatever. It's like, he's the man, you know what I mean?
But that's why as well, another thing is the parents, the men around women that would have a say in basically choosing their partner. Because that's something that's gone out the window. You know, it's like, okay, congratulations. What do we have there?
The main prophecy I thought when he mentioned that was a woman shall come after a man. Because they had put on a young girl, like 21, and he said like certain things to her, and she's like, no, hell no, you can't say that. She's very feminine, like feminist basically. Even if she believes she's like normal, her ideals, the way she's been molded with this construct of the society, she has feminist ideals, right?
That is the baseline of normal now.
And and it goes into the point of what we were saying about the fact that there's less children being born. Because if you get a woman right now, it's like there's nothing you can do. Man, you could. We're going back even like damn near 20 years now. It's like children, what they call catcalling. That used to be just normal, man. You just go up to a girl, talk to her. She said no. She said yes. She said yes. It's what it is. But now it's like,
even with that, it's like most women will only respond if it's a guy they're feeling.
that's it.
Because they say it's like, oh well, I think they did a questionnaire like, oh, would you mind it if it was like, would you mind getting catcalled? Would you like getting catcalled? No, it's like, oh, what was an attractive guy that you like? I wouldn't mind. So it's
But the image that's gone out is the first answer. And that's why everyone just, that was the next thing I was going to, everyone's up on the radio in extremes. It's like, you can't do that. It's like self-editing, censorship put out there, red and yellow tape and everything. Because now even me, it's like, damn, I see a woman I like and I'm like, I would have, before, I would have gone up to her and said like, hey man, you know, I would have say, hey man. But I'll just strike up a conversation with her. But now I'm very like, and I was doing that up until a couple of years ago. And it's like certain girls now, I'm like, I don't even do that, man. Even if I do think they find me attractive, it's just general consensus now. It's like
the atmosphere has become weird.
Yeah, it's a weird atmosphere. It's just like they look at me like, you're really gonna do that? You know?
Verse 15, he is grievous unto us, even to behold, for his life is not like other men's, his ways are of another fashion. It's really like with being a Hebrew Israelite, the ways are really of another fashion.
Deuteronomy 4, the 4th chapter goes into that. It says that this is our wisdom among the nations. So then when they see you, they shall say, who's like unto these people? That, you know, they think in such a manner. So basically, do such a people that have the most high and so basically, the way that we live, the lifestyle we strive for, with every father's laws, statutes, commandments, the covenant that was established for us, it's so far, it's out of the realm of normal, right? It's a different fashion. But they even know that it's kind of crazy, kind of, fucked up, certain levels.
They have to respect it. Because that's the thing, it's with, a lot of it is based on abstinence from a lot of things that make people out here to find normal and easy. And that's the thing, it's like, that's become part of the culture. People always say like, oh, just because a lot of people do something isn't a good justification.
Right, let me right now, man.
That's what I'm reading.
Matthew chapter 7 and 13. Enter ye in at the straight gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction. And many there be which go in thereat. Because straight is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto man, and few there be that find it. See what I'm saying?
That's right, because it's basically like for you to conduct yourself in a manner that will please your own share. That's
It's a narrow path.
yeah, that's a more treacherous path.
Second Ezra chapter 7 goes into it, where it says that one man was able to walk that path at a time, and on one side was burning fire, and another deep sea, deep waters basically. So this path they're walking is a very, only few find this pathway. But the other way that everyone's walking it's a broad way. There's many that are walking that way.
Everyone's joining it easy. That's the thing. It's always it's gonna
And you will be rewarded for walking it. Say you do wickedness,
Yeah,
or
you
you just do things with the world. You're gonna be, you work for 10 years. You're gonna accumulate, accolades, trinkets. You can get yourself a Rolex. You can get yourself a nice car, nice house. You can save up your yourself. You can work hard and get what you get it what you put out. You get. What you put out is what you get. Vice versa. So the point being is, you reap what you sow. So you can win doing that, but the reality of it,
and I mean, what you winning, how long it's gonna endure for.
that's it.
So that's the thing is
As you mentioned, the fashion of the point part of the place. And when it's talked to them, as it tells you in the book of 2nd Ezra 16 and 14, to be ye pilgrims upon the earth. He that occupies merchandise will get no profit by it. Like whatever you have in this world, you basically don't do it. You mean do it, but have the attitude that if I gotta leave off and move on from doing what I'm doing, then it's so good.
Exodus 23 and 2. Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil. Yeah. Don't follow a multitude to do evil. That's the thing. It's like with it's funny because that's become like idiom in a modern day anyway. Just because other people are doing something doesn't mean it's a good idea. Meanwhile, that's how most of them live their lives.
Well, that's the reality. That's like you get told when you're a child. But the reality of it, everyone follows fashion. And when I say fashion, whatever is the social norm, everyone's looking after.
That's what you're raised on. But that's the thing. It's like I remember when growing up as a kid, it was just like saying like absolutely everyone said like, oh, what kind of relationship do you want? So I want a 50-50 relationship. What the fuck does that even mean when you're 8 years old? How the fuck, man? I'm like, bro, but then that's the thing. That's just what culture teaches. It's like, all kinds of, women you want, I don't want it as long as we can get along, as long as we're cool, that's alright, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, where these things even come from? It's just what was taught to you, already in your mind by the culture. Yeah. And that's the thing. And that's the thing, been the thing, the Hebrew Israelites throughout all these different kingdoms. This is why we've been so despised within them. It's because the way we move, the way we operate, is so averse to
Everything that's going on, yeah. And we're very vocal about it. Look, that's
Zero.
Yeah. That's why it's rubber ready. Debate sort of football thoughts. What do you think that you do? And I can see it when you're being a Richard Edomite, especially Edomite. It's like the way they look at you, like this guy's not fun, like he's gonna kill you. He's a party basically. But the reality of the situation is like some of the shit what we were speaking about off the camera. The guy that went down there, his name was John something Jones. And he went to Colombia and he got caught in Utah in 2009 in a cave called Nutty Party. He basically wound up dying, man, because he went 400 feet under the Earth's crust, man. Nigga, what the fuck is down there? It's nothing. What is it?
I'm
What is down there? Like, I don't know what's down there. I need to be looking at, man. My wife's at home. Like, I didn't even meditate. I'm like, maybe that day is early or wife wanted him to put the drinks on her at night. He said, nah, babe, I'm gonna wake up early. Let's do it when I get back, I promise. The nigga never felt that pussy again. Never again.
Well, there's a movie called 28, not 28 days. I can't remember. It's where the guy gets his arm stuck in a rock, then he has to fucking chop off at the end. He goes in rock climbing, he falls, a rock falls on him, based on a real story. Then he had to like saw through his arm, like a fucking really not sharp object. It took him hours before he was gonna die. And I was like, bro, I was like, what the fuck are you doing out there?
And that's
What the fuck are you doing?
And that's what we were saying. Why are you jumping off the building? Why are you not cooking? Why are you not? Because that's the nature of the game. It's not life. And it's really like, I mean, in reality, it tells you, this is going to show you the power of the word. Hebrews 4:12 tells you the word is sharper than any two-edged sword, divided down to basically, the word, once it gets in you, man, the word, you know what break my bones, the word will never hurt me. That's a lie, right? Because words are extremely painful. And the words that Israel speaks, there's a lot of truth in it. There's significant truth. Even if they're not in the word, hey, it tells you in the book of Romans that we have a fool's God. So when we do those things, hey, it fucks with the spirit of these people. But more so it's dealing with the word of their Heavenly Father. Well, I'm gonna go and get a whole drink because I don't even know if I'm gonna
Give me a smack.
you can hold it and I'll get you.
Yeah.
I'll go your place again. It's no drink. I'll go press. My way. I'm running it. Just take the book. Bro, it's because we talk for like very long before we leave. I mean, before we start. By the time we start, it's like, I'm cold. Like, yeah, you've been out here for a while.
Okay. Yeah. So it says, verse 15, he is grievous unto us even to behold, for his life is not like other men's, his ways are of another fashion. We are esteemed of him as counterfeits. He abstaineth from our ways as from filthiness. And this is another big part of the reason why Jay can't like. Because we're going to look at the practices of the heathen, especially of the wicked, like the filthiness there is. It's just that there's all form of things that are done. Bro, even it's like, I mentioned it before, we put the camera on, about what eating raw meat, man. Eating fucking medium rare steak. That shit don't make no goddamn sense. I prefer my food cooked. I don't want to be eating chopping up blood. Like a lot of other things, man. A lot of the heathenistic sexual practices, man. Having orgies and all form of madness, swinging. Imagine it's like it's a normal thing to just be like, oh, you know, you're gonna swing and you just fling your wife to someone else and you just be dicking down someone else's wife. It don't make no fucking sense. The fuck kind of man wants to see his wife get fucked by another dude? But that shit's become normal within this place. That's become just another cultural aspect. Now you have it's evolved to the point where they have polyamorous relationships. Where so I remember I watched a fucking interview, documentary kind of thing on YouTube, where it was like one girl that had like 4 boyfriends, and I think it was like until like a year previously, it was just the 2 of them. But then the main guy and the girl. Then the girl said that she wanted to, go polyamorous. Then she was like, okay. And then she started getting other men involved So where it was like 4 of them living there, all basically worshiping them. Don't make no sense. That's all complete and total confusion. That's complete and total mess. Like, how are you gonna have 4 men all dealing with the same woman? And it's like, bro, for like, bro, it's a complete mess. Everything's all turned upside down. Everything's been completely frozen. Let me read this. Isaiah 29 and 16 says, "Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as a potter's clay." That's the thing as well. It said they're esteemed of them as counterfeits in Wisdom of Solomon 2. Because why? These practices are looked at like, what's the shit you guys doing? Because really isn't. Esau's turning everything upside down. So all of a sudden it should be like, okay, yeah, you can just have like 7 men dealing with 1 woman. And that's meant to be normal. You're meant to have kids and shit in that situation. That's complete and total confusion. Because them kids are going to be completely destroyed. But it's what Esau trying to basically flip everything from how it's meant to be, a righteous order, into complete and total confusion. And that's what he's pushed out onto the masses. The masses are basically dealing with that state of mass confusion. And it's not really been accepted on wide scale. But it's the thing is with the process of like the next generation, and especially with social media, because social media informs a lot of what younger kids do. There's a lot of people that are grown up, raised with a tablet from when they're 1 year old, 2 years old, whatever, and they've basically been on social media. They've been on TikTok, they've been on Instagram, they've been on Facebook, they've been on all these things for years, and that's more feeding into how they see the world than anything else. If you have a kid, and this is the thing, is that like the millennial generation was the one where they grew up without it, but they came in as they were growing up. So they're the last ones that really have that experience of growing up like in a more organic state. But that's why what? It's all confusion, it's all flipped. It says, "For shall the work say of him that made for shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he had no understanding?" And that's really it. It's basically saying, because the righteous order was set up by the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, he basically said how things are going to operate. But then what? People don't know what the fuck. People are now, everything's been thrown out over the it's really from the 60s. It's from when you had like women's liberation here, that second wave feminism they call it. From then onwards, it's basically been a thing where all these things have been peeled apart and thrown in the bin. They're saying, oh, we don't need to do this anymore. Now these things are misogynistic. You know, we need to even the field for women. But really, it's a fulfillment of words of Jeremiah. Children shall be their oppressors, and women all over them. So it says, Wisdom of Solomon 2 and 16, "We are esteemed of him as counterfeits. He abstaineth from our ways as from filthiness. He pronounceth the end of the just to be blessed, and maketh his boast that the Most High is his Father." Yeah, because the end of the just is to be blessed. That's the thing, it's like the rewards of the carnal, rewards of doing things within Esau's wrong, with how he's made everything a complete confused mess. You're going to see those things are going to take through on this side. Because now is when he's basically in power, he's able to show and display and reward them. You can be rewarded before men. But that's just being rewarded before men. That's something that people are going to see now. And they'll be like, okay, well, they'll think, oh, that's a so-called, they'll esteem you, they'll hold you in high regard for now. But when it comes to the judgment after, that's when you're going to be held to account for all the wickedness that you've done. The order still applies when it comes into the heavens, when it comes into your judgment, when it comes to coming back to the place where the judgment plays out on earth. So it says, "What? Let us see if his words be true, and let us prove what shall happen in the end of it. For if the just man be the son of the Most High, he will help him and deliver him from the hand of his enemies. And that's the thing is, this is why Esau feels so sure in pursuing and magnifying his wickedness that he's been doing on the earth. He's thrown everything into complete confusion, and he's been increasing the rate at which that confusion's been expanding, man. And now he's going from just like, okay, destroying the relationship between men and women, to the point where it's destroying even what what men and women are meant to be, and how that concept is, man. Even raising children, now they're saying, like, oh, you're gonna be communally raising children. Which what the fuck does that mean? That means in this place, you're trying to raise your righteous young Israelite man. They're gonna be trying to raise him to be a complete demon, man, completely in the world doing all forms of madness. How the hell are you meant to be able to raise up your son when and the thing is already within the system, you're gonna have like from what's on TV, what's in social media, what they'll see online, what the teachers will be saying, what they're taught in schools. There's like 9 million different avenues by which your kids they can destroy the mind of your child. So it says what? Let us examine him with despitefulness and torture, that he may know that we may know his meekness and prove his patience. Let us condemn him with a shameful death, for by his own saying he shall be respected. And that's the thing, it's because Esau's caught up in the carnal. He's only trying to he's executing his power on this side to destroy and to try and break down everything about the truth and about the Hebrew Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. But really, it's what? It's how's it going to work out? Because well, let me just touch that part again. So I said what? It says, let us condemn him with a shameful death, for by his own saying he shall be respected. It's funny, that brings to mind a good example was with Charles I, who was the son of what do you call it? King James I. Because Charles was his son, and he basically had he was a so-called black man. He had what was it? King James I, who's his father. Charles I, who's his son, and then the grandson of James as well was Charles II, who's called Black Boy. And he basically he had to flee after his dad was executed. Charles I, when what do you call it? During his rule, you had the not the Barons Rebellion. You basically had a rebellion where what the fuck is this guy called, man? Oliver Cromwell took over, and he basically started the first republic in the UK, in England. And then when he took over, he basically executed Charles I. When he did this, it's like the whole Parliament weren't going to deal with that. They're like, yo, you can't even kill the king, man. He's set up by the Most High. Because that's still how things were run back then as well. But then what? He basically he throughout the whole Parliament, set up his own Parliament, basically had them rewrite the laws of England so that he could execute the king. Then basically executed Charles I, and it was like, well, instead about what, give them, he said, condemn them with a shameful death. But it's like Charles I was like, when he was, I remember I read on Wikipedia, it said when he went to be executed, I believe it was in January, he was like, he went out and he was like, yo, give me something to cover myself. Not even because he wanted to be warm, but he said he didn't want the people to see him as shivering from shame or from fear, because he's basically going out there staunch as fuck, because he's like, hey, yo, you're gonna kill me up. He's like, cool, do your thing, but it's like, look, I already know I'm in the right in this situation. And then Like when they gave him his last words, he was like, "Look, man," he's like, "You can continue with the fast, more or less. This is something that I can't even be found guilty of. Like there's no means by which you can bring this accusation against me. I've been set up by the Most High, more or less." And then he killed him. But then what happened to Oliver Cromwell? After he was in power for a season, his son took over. But then they had Charles II come back. And then they exhumed this guy's body and fucking hung him and quartered him after his death. They hung his corpse up and quartered his corpse. So it's like, even though, you got the L in that moment, but in the long run, how's it going to stand? And that's the thing, it's with all these, there's going to be brothers that are going to be put to death. But it's how you meet that. So I'm going to read this, second Revelation 2, and 10. It says, "Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, and ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life." And that's a mindset, man. That's the truth of it. We're gonna have tribulation 10 days. There's gonna be troubles brothers go into. Esau's gonna these elites basically gonna bring to bear all their power. They're gonna do everything they can to try and break down and destroy brothers, and try and stop the truth being established, stop the kingdom being established. That's really what he's gonna try and achieve. But all it's gonna result in is what? Is you're gonna have brothers, and that's the thing, is for those of the elect, they're gonna endure, man. Whatever end they have to meet, whether they're gonna be raised up with spiritual power, whether they're gonna be put to death, whether the Lord will have them survive, have them covered until the time they get beamed up. Then either way that it goes, that's how they're gonna get dealt with. But then but that's the thing, it said what? "Be thou faithful unto death, and I'll give thee a crown of life." And that's the thing, it's like what? Being faithful unto death, hold it. Because I'll read this as well, further down, verse 25, it says, "But that which ye have already, hold fast till I come. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations." That's the thing, it's like that which you have already, hold fast till I come. We're basically enduring unto the end. And that's the thing, it says it'll be tribulation 10 days. We're enduring through that tribulation, man. That's going to be the time, the highest amount of pressure. Where Esau is going to be pushing out at Karagma. And it's going to be, a thing where you're going to have to be like, yo, you're going to have to you're going to have to have the scriptures in your mind. You're going to have to know and have faith in what's to come. Otherwise, it's going to be a thing where you're going to basically falter. You're gonna trip. You're gonna slip. But that's really something only those that aren't the elect are really gonna do. As far as for those of the elect, they're gonna endure through. The Lord said in Amos, that not the least grain shall fall upon the earth. There's going to be the sifting process, which is that time of tribulation, time of trouble. That's going to be the sifting process. But then once they sift out, the ones that are going to get sifted out is only those that aren't the elect. Those are basically, it's like, they go through all the tribulation, they endure to the end, they're going to receive their reward. So it says, "And he that overcometh, keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power unto the nation. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as vessels of a pot, shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father." Yeah, that's it. So that's going to be resulting in what then? Having power over the nation, being able to flip the script. That's the thing, because I think it's heavy. Yeah, it's heavy enough. I don't think it's going to blow over. But that's the thing. It's basically a matter of endurance, a matter of holding on to the script, staying with the blood. Because it's a speak as. That's really how it is. Esau's going to get violent, man. He's going to utilize force. Revelation 12:12. It says, therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but short time. Hey, Esau is coming down with wrath. He's looking to get this thing in as swiftly as he can. He knows now he's basically got the minds of the people on the back foot. Everyone's broken. Everyone's in a state where they're not able to deal with all the fucked up shit that's going down. They're feeling hella valuable. They're ready to get taken advantage of. As such, what Esau's gonna keep on applying the pressure. Because why? People are gonna break. They're basically gonna be running for that corruption. And that's the thing that he desires. So Daniel 2:41, it says, and whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potters clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it strength of the iron, for so much as thou sawest the iron mixed with iron clay. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And that's the nature of the system Esau has now. What he's got is where it's a hodgepodge of different nations. They all do things a bit different. That's why you have like EU where they've all come banded together. But even then, there's contention. And there's those parts that are stronger, parts that are weaker. But this is all something that Esau's trying to basically get away from, to where he can establish something new. This is something you see in his movies, in his media that he puts out a lot. They have it where they'll always have like there's some form of crisis, something that pushes the world to a different to the brink, that makes it more dangerous, more terrifying. And then afterwards, you know, there might be a nuclear fallout. Then it's like out of the ashes, they got to bring everyone together into some new form or system of living. And that always results in not having like, you know, basically a super elite class that basically have all the resources concentrated to them. Like, what the fuck is that movie called? Hunger Games is a good example, where they have like the capital and they have the districts, where it's like, the capital, they have all the wealth and abundance and resources concentrated, everyone else is fruit. And that's something that is being developed. And these things are, another way this system is being set up is what with the metaverse. They're trying to have it where they're going to have it, it's in a digital plane, so they can control and set up however they desire.
But that's why you have the thing happen recently.
I'm getting fucking gang raped metaverse. And it's like, I think there's been 2 or 3 stories like that. I'm like, bro,
it's like COD now, like modern, like wherever it's like Call of Duty, them type of games. When you beat someone up or kill someone, then that could be labeled as abuse. Like where does it stop? But it shows you the fact.
Now they've basically been doing that for a few years, saying like, oh, you know, violence. Whenever there's like shooting or something, they'll say, oh, you know, he played Call of Duty. They're trying to make it so it's like digital things and then become like real crime. that's why it's like with these what do you call it? With these like digital things, they basically been trying to make it because there was a law put for a new law in the books. I think it's like cyberbullying bill in the UK where they're I think they put it through. It went out for review. But it's basically about people being on like social media, like on Twitter and whatnot. If you send like death threats or violent messages, and as well like different bits of social media, if you say, and they said like revenge porn as well and other things, to basically criminalize all that stuff, make it so you go to like 5 years in prison for a lot of them. The thing is, I was like, they're basically just expanding the view of how digital things can be reflected in in reality as well. To where it's like crimes you do digital things that would be crimes if you did it in real life. You do it digitally is a crime as well, and that's all basically sinking into where that transhumanism, where it's like you fuse with technology, then through fusing with technology, that's how you fusing with technology is how you're meant to ascend, to a higher plane. Because that's more or less what people are really kind of looking at as. They're thinking with Neuralink or whatever, they're gonna fuse into reality. Some scripture stuff.
Eyes like a man.
You might as well read it. I need to read it. It's like if I take my hand basically,
So it's the book of Daniel 7 and 8, and it says, I consider the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, right? For whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. Now this little horn was talking about America, and this is the beauty of the scriptures. Because with the Holy Bible, what you find is that Heavenly Father put everything in dark sayings. So it basically is like a puzzle. Not a puzzle or like a word puzzle or something to that nature. You have like an index with like algebra, for example. What's the word? Maybe algebra is more. Maybe A represents this. You have those problems. So but it says if this represents this and that represents this, what does this equation add up to? Kind of thing. Add in different things. So you work out the numeric value. That's kind of the same with the word. The word that has something. We use the word horn. The word horn denotes power. And it's the view of the Lord, because we deal with animals. What's their main instrument of combat? It'll be a horn or their teeth. But there'll be different things in these things to know. Basically the horn denotes power. So this little horn is in the land of America, and the 3 horns that were there that were plucked up is basically talking about the UK or Britain, France, and Spain. Right? That's why when you look at the land of America, it has the land masses have different names. You have New Britain, places like that, Boston, right, New York, right, Charlotte, right, Georgia. All these things go back to where? They go back to the land that we're in right now, this island known as the British Isles, right? And basically what you have is you had France occupied the Midwest, right? That's why you have a place like Louisiana. Louisiana go back to Louis, right? Which is the French ruler. And you have the same thing with the west coast of America, right? With San Francisco and San Diego, all these different places, San Diego, because they go back to Spanish namesakes. So those are places that were purchased by the land of America, and that's how they were fucked up, right? But really, in all truth and sincerity, right, the UK still owns ownership. This America is owned by the bankers in this square mile that we're presently occupying right now, known as the city of London. So So let's read again. Daniel 7 and 8. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were three of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. So basically, the eyes like unto a man. We're talking about the technology that this man known as Esau Edom, right, otherwise known as the so-called white man of today, basically occupies his kingdom, right? The technology of this place is basically beyond anything that you've ever seen before, right? That's what's being utilized. Only we're heading into, like we mentioned about Davos, we're heading into the fourth industrial revolution, and a lot of these people are sleeping out here. They don't know, right? There's a reason why they want people to move towards having, the C19 passports, all right? There's a reason, all right? And they want to move everything to a digital-based system, all right? There's a reason why, and the same thing I was watching at TK. I like watching interviews, man. That's how I like one of my pastimes. It's like to see different mindsets, different things that are going on in the world, how answers are presented, what people are thinking, kind of thing. And basically, what he said is DJ Emmy was talking about, saying like, his daughter would basically, she goes out with his credit card. You have to take his credit card off of her phone. She'll be going out, going for dinner, and she'll be, book, tap and go, everything, because of the comfort. And it's funny because they never really had chip and pin in America. And I see why now. It didn't take off because there was no need. They got the Apple Pay and Google Pay. That's their form of contactless.
Like swipe and sign.
Yeah.
So just like contactless.
And even it's kind of funny as well, their phones out there cost an arm and a leg, man. Like if they want an iPhone, I believe they actually have to buy it outright. Whereas we put a down payment on it and then you pay it off basically month to month. So it's like everyone out here has a high-tech phone. Someone that has no business affording a phone of that level of technology. The niggas broke, but they got that phone. Yeah. So basically, what was I saying? So yeah, the technology, this side of technology being able to take off because it's part of the prophecy the Heavenly Father basically giving up to this man to do the things that he needs to do. So we get this as well. Back and build upon that. So this is the book of Ezekiel. Alright, this is Ezekiel 28 and 3. It says, behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. Right? If you know anything about Daniel in the scriptures, this is a young man that was well renowned for his wisdom. Alright? You have the book in the Apocrypha where it speaks about Daniel's judgment. Well, I believe it's in the book of, not Judith, I believe it may be Susanna, the beautiful daughter of Israel. Basically, they made a false witness of her. And Daniel came and brought forth a judgment, right, which was on point. Now, when they saw wise men, as it tells you in Daniel, the first chapter, basically speaks to them finding out wise men of the nation of Israel. And they basically taught them all the knowledge of the Chaldees and how to speak the language and all those things of that nature. But then what you find in Daniel, he far superseded everyone out there, right? Along with Hananiah, Azariah, and Mishael. They were held in high regard for their wisdom, right? And they were established as rulers over the nation. And they gave them like basically rulership over the main state of Babylon, right? Now, with that being said, they're saying that this man today, Esau Edom, is wiser than Daniel. Fill out my pocket. Yeah.
I know, like, man, when you just gonna take it, like,
It's my card, man. You want to That's how I lost my card before. I told you I lost it last week. So my pocket just fell out. I pulled out my phone. So it says in Ezekiel 28:3, behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. And that shows you the nature of these people, right? Like, they look at you like you're a thief, right?
Jake's
Jake's getting a bad rap, man.
It's really like nothing's rare. It's like, you gonna pick up the card, otherwise, fuck off here.
So let me read it again. Ezekiel 28:3, behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. Now, when you read what scripture comes to mind, but they've looked at every way. I can't remember it. It's something to my tongue. But basically, what Esau has done is he's delved into everything. This man has basically looked into everything. He's a man where you're not hit from him. As going back to the book of Esdras, you had the angel basically put some angel Uriel put some questions toward Ezra, and basically said, look, weigh me, measure me a flame, do this, do that. And he said, I can't do none of those things. So, guess what? Esau today can do all those things. Because it's given out a diligent search. That's what it is, a diligent search. Yeah. I'm reading this. Is it in there? Nah, it's so I'm thinking. Yeah, I'll read it quickly. Psalm 64:6. They searched out iniquities, they accomplished a diligent search. They would thought of every one of them, and their heart is deep. Right? It says, with the Most High, that's basically Esau's the way Esau is. I'm just flowing in the spirit right now. Alright, so let me get back to Ezekiel 28:4. With thy wisdom, with thine understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches, and hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasures. And thy great wisdom, by thy great wisdom and by thy traffic, hast thou increased thy riches, and thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches. Therefore thus saith the Lord power, because thou hast set thine heart as the heart of the Most High. Behold, therefore I will bring strangers upon thee. Alright? Basically when it says they have set their heart as the heart of the Most High, basically, it tells you knowledge puffing up. Because they have all this knowledge of things, they now deem themselves God over the earth. Right? They believe that they control, they're the Most High. That's why now we're entering into this industrial revolution whereby they want to merge man with machine. Right? And in doing so, their algorithms, their control, and the things that they know with the psychology of man, they confuse those together and be a God in their own right.
They're trying to substitute themselves for the Most High. Let me read a quick one. Second Thessalonians 2:4. For who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High, or that is worshipped, so that he, as God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. That's what Esau's trying to do. That's what he's trying to accomplish through his technological means. Because this is the thing, is Esau's always been gaining everything he desired through the left-hand side. Man. It says, like when Peter tried to utilize the sword, said, hey, Habashai said that he didn't live by the sword, die by the sword, man. You can utilize those means, that's going to be used against you, man. And that's the thing, is that's how Esau gets all his power. It all comes through the sword. But he's not wary of the judgment. Because he's had his little season. He's had his 500 odd years. He basically is saying like, yo, I've been able to do, it's like I've read in Wisdom of Solomon.
Psalm 50 as well tells you, I held on, you thought that I was all the way at peace with you.
Yeah.
Because I held this time.
Yeah, because it's a thing where he's basically been like, okay, I'm gonna come against the children of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua and fuck them up and then see if anything happens. He did it. He was looking left and right. He said, yo, nothing's happened. He kept going. He emboldened himself in it. Now it's coming to the point where the judgment's coming. You can see society is creaking at the seams. As far as all the things that these kingdoms have prided on, these things are in decline, man.
It's the book of Psalms 50, and I'll start from 19. Thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue frameth deceit. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. Thou slanderest thine own mother's son. And what is that being done? Right? He's done it on many different occasions. But in the book of Revelations, it tells you the accuser of our brethren, the accusers day and night. Alright? And that's talking about Esau and his high echelon left-hand side priesthood, man. Alright? Basically doing all manner of let me finish, get to the point so I can get lost in it. I'll just make it quick. Thou says, verse 21, these things thou hast done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest thou was altogether such an one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set
That's the
them
thing.
in
He
order.
thought it was something where the Most High would. That's the thing is he was given license to do to a certain limit. But this is the thing is Esau's even overgone that limit. As such, what? He's basically gonna. The thing is regardless, Esau shouldn't even have touched this. Esau shouldn't even have wrapped up on Jacob. He should have looked at it and left it to be like, okay, let the angels deal with him. Like in the time of when David was on the throne, where the angel had to come down and do the judgment against Israel. It'll be better for you to allow that to happen than for you to get involved. Because when you stepped in, you've then given yourself judgment against yourself. This is what I was going to read. Isaiah 47 and 12. It says, stand now with thine enchantments, with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou wast labored from thy youth. This is the thing, this is something Esau's well within. This is how it is channeled. You go into, it's funny because you have remember they made the new, well, I say new, it's not really new now, the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes movie, the first one, where they had Mark Strong as the villain. He was basically like what do you call it? He was a member of parliament, and he was within like basically those secret circles where they were doing all those forms of human sacrifice, all those dark, all those different observations of witchcraft. That's what they were doing in the dark. It's basically like the Freemasons back in their time. And that's something that they brought up, and I was thinking like, wow, that's kind of, first time I watched it a while back, I was like, that's kind of random for them to be going into that. But then you go into the time, and that's something that people were doing. They were doing seances, they were getting Ouija boards, they were getting it all into different forms of witchcraft. And you think about it, it's like how certain things have become normal. Like horoscopes, star signs, these different things have just kind of bled into like people's the general consciousness of like how people move out here. So that's the thing, is that's Esau's strength. That's what he leans into, and that's the thing. It's rewarded it. It's worked. A lot of people that have basically gone into those things, they'll get into it. They'll be like, damn, yo, this shit's working. It's good.
Well, I had one of my recent employees basically mess with that shit, man.
Oh, not to mention the west coast of Africa, like Nigeria, Ghana, all these different countries around there. They get into that shit heavy, man. They fuck with that shit as well on the islands, Benjamin as well. Obia,
Voodoo,
Haiti. These guys, that's what they get into. So it's like they'll see results, they'll fuck with it, but then it's what's the actual end result? That says wherein thou hast labored from thy youth, if so be thou shalt be able to profit if so be, if thou mayest prevail. And that's the thing as well. It's with Esau's what do you call it, with the witchcraft. Esau's technology as well that he's been able to gain. He's really trying to utilize everything in his means to try and substitute for the Most High.
I'm just gonna show this to the camera. All right. I'm gonna show it to you. So this basically shows you what's going on right now is that's happening. Alright, so I'll read it for you. So this is from Google. I typed in witches pardoned. So it says women executed 300 years ago as witches in Scotland set to receive blah 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 blah. Catalonia, and that's that was on the 19th of December last year. Catalonia to pardon up to 1,000 people accused of witchcraft. That was the 26th of June. Scotland again, Scotland.
Because now it's in vogue.
Yeah.
Now it's basically something. When you go back into during those times where you know witch hunts were going down, where it was basically something that was demonized rightfully, where people were judged for it. Then hey, people would got executed or whatever. But now it's a thing where everyone's getting into it. It's popular. It's everyone's vibing with it. Everyone's getting into it. It's highly popular on social media. That's why it's like I was watching a video where I was talking about some YouTuber who got kicked off the platform, and he was basically doing getting into witchcraft, where he was summoning the spirits of like dead people, or he's trying to summon demons and whatnot for like at 3 a.m. and that was his whole thing. And it was like his main audience was like 6 to 9 year olds. So he basically had a bunch of kids getting the same spirit where they're all trying to and he would like get little stuffed dolls and whatnot, tie them up and then like cut their wrists and certain things and then pretend like he summoned demons and slit his throat and all
real.
these things.
This is Esau standing with his enchantment.
Yeah,
because how we grew up with Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Yeah.
You have the witch going back to the 50s or 60s.
Hocus Pocus.
Pocus. I remember the witch because
the witch as well was still running. Like they were putting out TV at night.
Yeah, that's why we saw it.
One division was more or less a spoof of that. The first couple episodes.
Oh, okay, I didn't even know. I watched that.
Yeah, it's like one division. The first couple episodes is basically like because they know it's like this vision of wonder.
Yeah.
But then it's like they're trying to pretend was like these boss will come round for dinner. And it's like, she's doing magic or whatever. It's like she'll float some plates.
That's my point I was going to say as well, the magic. Yeah. You just, for what of that, man. Because basically it's like, the way you grew up, magic was a big thing. If someone knew a magic trick, it would be amazing.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
But guess what, now people are more into witchcraft because they've been so into it.
They've basically been,
and Harry Potter, let's not forget about Harry Potter. That was like, but I know your generation, like from your age. I know people my age,
and it's
even
too younger.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't read it because it's like, I don't really care. Because
the first book was read to me when I was in primary school.
That's my point. I missed that, man. I was reading about Biff and Chip and them, man.
The magic key.
Yeah, some hard books, man. But that's the thing. It's been worked into the psyche of the people in this generation.
Magic key. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
That's for real.
I was into magic as well, but you see where it is. Like, even I was gonna talk to you about this because I ain't watched this TV. I wanted you to give it to me if you were Invincible. And I spoke to Els. He told me in one group chat that how could he be into it? That was because I'm in the faith, innit? So I know you Israelites are crazy like that. So you like that shit. But he told me, and then I'm watching it on Comic Books Explained, innit? Comic Books Explained. So I just watched it up until the last video, and I was like, this is ill, that's crazy. But basically, that's what I was in. I was into the JLA, and you know when you get into stuff, you start going back.
you had the whole Twilight as well.
Oh yeah, yeah, the
Into that, like,
werewolf,
the young
yeah,
girls
yeah,
getting into all that.
Dracula and all that type of shit. So the whole crystal thing, like, hey, we spoke about a couple of weeks ago. We had two women walk by, and they basically started laughing because you mentioned something in the spirit, and they wanted to talk to us. So it's like it's a common thing now. Women are messing with the crystals. You know, they have the crystals. You do certain things, seances, certain things on a new moon. It'll be like, hello, the new moon. Good opportunity to pray for whatever you want. Yeah,
On
Instagram,
or post
or
like
Twitter or something.
the sticks or some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is Esau's indoctrinate the people, whereby they believe they're doing something for their own means, and they really are, but they don't know they're giving power to the beast, man.
Yeah.
They're feeding in.
Yes, look, Isaiah 47:12, stand now with thine enchantments, with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou wast labored from thy youth. If so be, thou shalt be able to profit. If so be, thou mayest prevail. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for the profit. And that's the thing is they're profiting within that system. They're profiting within that left-hand side, within these different contracts. They don't realize it's the same thing with the Chaldees, the Magi's, with all these different structures, all these different kingdoms. They're in different means of channeling through that power on the left-hand side. But then what? Just because you're getting gain from it, that doesn't mean that you're going to be well off when it comes to the end.
Mark 7:36, man. What profit is a man if he gain the whole world?
Loses his own soul.
So I believe it's 8.
Because as far as for that, it's like they're looking to get some form of gain, and you'll get the gain on this side. But then it's like, what's it costing? It says, thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. So these guys are going through so many various means that they're getting wearied, man. They're getting tired out. And that's the thing is you can look, like when you go, I remember we did the video years back where we're in front of all the brothers that did the video in front of the Freemasonic hall. Actually it would be Holborn, yeah. So it'd be in that direction. Holborn. In front of there, and they had symbols that were basically referencing to various different means. They had the name on their building, but they also had various other things as well. All different forms of symbols on there, various things. That's the thing is Esau don't just go into one thing. And that's
Proverbs 6, it tells you a wicked man talking with his hands. Basically, it tells you about what you're talking about, the science does everything without talking.
you ain't gonna see it. Because as well,
by the symbology on
no, it wasn't even about that. It was about something else. Thou art weary in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. And that's the thing. It's like the people that are on the low level, they're just looking to gain something within this kingdom. But it's for the elites. They're looking to establish. They're trying to establish something else. They're trying to set something else up.
Yeah.
They're trying to. They see, and the thing is as well. This is what we're in a war basically, spiritual
war
against what? Spiritual wickedness in high places. Because that's the thing. Us going out here doing the videos, our diligence is basically doing damage to them. And these guys are being harmed in the spirit.
That's why when we come out, we have Satan coming in himself, man. Start feeling lightheaded, stammering your words. You'd be like, damn, I need to get you. Like the cold, just different things happen because what they're praying against you. It's spiritual warfare. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal but mighty to bring down the strongholds, man. That's why we're armed with what it tells you in the book of Galatians about taking, the armor of the Lord. But I was gonna say it's kind of like the movie the TV series American Gods, whereby when you feed into something, it gives it great amount of energy. It basically charges up the spirit, right? We have all these people buying into social media and going through making a sacrifice or doing atoning in some form of way
they didn't just come and start dealing with completely brand new things from they just that sprung out of earth. They basically went that back to ancient days, man.
American God show you that.
They're dealing with older, ancient forms of worship, ancient forms of observations. That's why you
has 11.
because well, a good example is what it's like Christmas,
Cleopatra needle over there.
the winter, spring equinox, autumn equinox, the winter solstice, the summer solstice. They basically brought old observations back and then modernized them. Yeah, and they have everyone feeding into that spirit. That's why it's like a guy will be Muslim, but they'll have these little kiddies dressing up on Halloween, and then it's like May Day. People, it's like they have a bank holiday. People will do raves, they'll do parties, they'll do whatever. That bank holiday spirit is what? Then these bank holidays, they fall on what? On those observations. That's why it's like even Easter, which is basically Ishtar, goes back to Babylonian practices. People they'll feed into that. It's like people in the world feed into an Easter when it's meant to be some kind of Christian observation. Even if they're atheists, they'll feed into it. And then as well, it's a thing of parties, they'll do get-togethers. They'll put energy into it. But then this is what it says, Isaiah 47:14 says, "Behold, they shall be as stubble, the fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be coal to warm at, nor fire to sit before it." And that's really it. It's a thing where all these different things, they're going to be a stubble. Because as far as, it's like, they've got the time they're going to be running. They've got the season they're going to be running in. And for now, it's flourishing. It's doing well. But once the power's going to be drawn out of it, the left-hand side is going to basically go back and be like, okay, he's been dragged to the point he needs to get to, and then he's going to be done. And that's the thing. It's like that's why with what wisdom and knowledge, that's going to be your stability at times. That's going to be drilled through in the book. You got anything? Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and the power of his might. Put on the whole armor, the Most High power, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. That's the thing. Part of that left-hand side, those are part of the wiles of the devil. Man. What Esau's trying to do is basically come against and beguile and basically bring harm to those pushing the word. Like you said, it's spiritual warfare. There's a thing where it's like when you go into warfare, that's why you would have
well, it told you that the Lord spoke. Sorry, I was going to say the parable where he said, "If a man going into war, does he not sit with his counsel and say, we have enough to go to war? And then if not, they say let's basically
yeah." Because when you go into war, you have a feudal system. You would have soldiers that are basically on payroll, standing army soldiers. Then you would have conscripts, and then it's like what conscripts? They'll just be the men from around from the land. They'll be farmers from day to day. Them guys would just have they might have spears made out of sticks. They might have shields made out of woven plants. They might not even have boots. They ain't gonna have no armor. They ain't gonna have no helmet. they're basically going to be completely unprepared. Meanwhile, what seasoned soldiers, they'll have full armor, they'll have a variety of weapons, they have a horse, they have a spear, they'll have a sword,
And
they'll
they'll
have a shield.
skill set to maintain us. And
Yeah, they'll be training year round. They'll be partaking in skirmishes and different conflicts throughout the year. They might be guardsmen certain times of the year.
or even doing war games, you know, they know how to keep their
Yeah, that's part of the skirmishing.
Okay.
Because with that's like essentially training, like actual combat scenarios. But that's how the difference between those that prepare for the battle and those that aren't. And that's what you have. It's like you might have 10,000 men. It's like you might only have like 1,000, 2,000 actual soldiers. A good example is 300 as well. Where it says Spartans. You know what are we? And it's everyone's favorite
warriors,
scene.
man.
Because they're basically all year round. It says what? For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers. And that's the thing. These things are principalities. These things are powers. These guys are set up. They're in prominent positions. They're basically executing their power on the earth. They've got means of having the world flow the way they desire it to flow. That's the thing as well. It's like people don't realize, it's like people are under a vibration, man. They're in a certain mindset. Because that's the thing, it's like, especially in good examples of America, that people be in America thinking it's the greatest place on earth, the most advanced technology, the most advanced everything, the greatest culture, the greatest this, the greatest that. As soon as they leave their bubble and go somewhere else, they don't see like, yo, hold on. When you get in a car crash, and then your legs are broken, you ain't gonna work ever again, and you gotta pay $2 million to the hospital. Like they realize that, you know, maybe that's not the most ideal way to fucking have this shit work out. But that's, you know, they're under that the principality, the power, man. They've been putting that mindset. Same for over here in London. People be in London, think, oh, it's the most cultural, it's got the most going on. The nightlife is so great, blah blah blah. Meanwhile, how much you paying for fucking rent? Meanwhile, it's like to even enjoy these things.
Happening right now.
Yeah, to how much is your rent costing? How much are your bills costing? How much are you even able to enjoy that? It says principalities against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And that's the thing, spiritual wickedness in high places. You go into it's why is it you get into these places, position of power, even from like the lowest rungs, even when you're dealing with like police officers, like sergeants and detectives and whatnot, start getting to higher levels. A lot of these guys are Freemasons. A lot of these guys getting together, doing certain observations together. They'll be having orgies. They'll be getting together. You have like what lawyers, judges, police officers, prominent businessmen and whatnot get together at certain parties and do certain things. Because why? There's spiritual wickedness. All these people, when you get to a certain plane of operating at a source realm, you'll basically be tested within these realms, man. Then it's like you might hit like the glass ceiling and bump your head on it and just be like, they ain't gonna really let you into them circles. But then afterwards they'll let you in the inner circles. And it's like, okay, they might get you in Freemasonry and you on that 33rd degree level. Yeah. Where they're just kind of letting you in and letting you observe things. You think things are in a certain way, but then they'll kind of test you, build you up over time to get you to their level. So it says, wherefore take unto you the whole armor of the Most High, that you may be able to stand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. That's it. For us, we need that armor. We're basically shielding ourselves, protecting ourselves with our faith, and our diligence, and our work that we're putting in. These are the things that we're doing to maintain ourselves and be able to win. As far as it's what And that's how it is with the truth. There's nothing that can stop it. That's basically bring it to an end. Regardless, even if I were to get gunned down right now, the truth is still going to go. Those are the elect. They're still going to be sealed. Esau's kingdom is going to come to an end. The kingdom is still going to be established. Yahweh Shai is still going to be glorified. Yeah. Do anything? Close up. Yeah, we'll close up. Close up. Close up on that. Say all praise to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai, Hashem, I want to see the apostles and elders, great millstone of the world. Shalom, shalom.